Ever felt overwhelmed by your emotions, like a hamster on a wheel, running but never really getting anywhere? Today, we're diving into the swirling whirlpool of toxic emotions that can make everyday life feel like you're navigating a minefield in clown shoes. Picture yourself as a balloon. Each toxic emotion is a little more air. How long before you pop? And who's going to be around for the big bang? Stick around and we'll unpack these emotional suitcases together, and maybe you'll stop feeling like that hamster. First off, let's play a game. It's called Name That Toxic Emotion. So, what's a toxic emotion, you ask? Well, think of it like this. You know how a rotten apple can spoil a whole barrel? That's what toxic emotions do to your mental health. They're the bad apples of your emotional ecosystem. Let's take a quick tour of some of these emotional party crashers. First up, we have stress. Ever walked into a room and forgotten why you're there? That's not old age, my friend. That's your brain on stress. It's like your mind is a browser with too many tabs open, and it's about to crash. Next in line, we have guilt. This one's like the party guest who overstays their welcome. You've cleaned up, you're in your pajamas, but guilt's still there, rehashing every embarrassing thing you've ever done in your life. And let's not forget anger. This one's like a bull in a china shop, destroying everything in its path. It's the emotional equivalent of stepping on a Lego barefooted. Last, but certainly not least, we have fear. This emotion is like that horror movie that keeps you up at night, except it's playing on a loop in your head. Now that we've identified these party poopers, let's find out how to give them the boot. So, how do you stop a runaway train of toxic emotions? You could try yelling stop, but we all know how that usually goes. About as well as trying to stop a squirrel from stealing your birdseed, am I right? First, let's talk about the art of distraction. When you sense a toxic emotion brewing, try shifting your focus. Maybe you're like me and you've taken up a new hobby of knitting. You'd be surprised how quickly anger fades when you're trying not to poke your fingers with those pesky knitting needles. Or perhaps you're a bit more active. In that case, try a set of jumping jacks. It's hard to stay angry when you're huffing and puffing like the big bad wolf. Or better yet, try dancing. I mean, have you ever seen an angry person doing the Macarena? Another strategy is mindfulness. Now I know what you're thinking, not the woo-woo mindfulness stuff again. But hear me out. Mindfulness doesn't have to involve sitting cross-legged on a mountaintop. It could be as simple as focusing on the sensation of your feet touching the ground or the taste of your morning coffee. Anything that anchors you in the present moment. And if all else fails, try a good old-fashioned timeout. No, not the kind where you sit in a corner and think about what you've done. I'm talking about stepping away from the situation for a while. Go for a walk, read a book, or if you're like me, binge watch your favorite sitcom. Because sometimes, the best way to deal with toxic emotions is to give them some space to dissipate. But the most important thing to remember is this. Emotions, even the toxic ones, are a part of being human. They're not something to be feared or suppressed, but rather something to be understood and managed. Remember, it's not about winning the battle against toxic emotions. It's about knowing when to fight and when to wave the white flag. So, what have we learned from our emotional roller coaster ride? Well, we've discovered that our emotions can sometimes be like uninvited house guests, and not the fun kind. They show up unannounced, make a mess of things, and often overstay their welcome. Remember, when stress knocks at your door, don't invite it in for coffee. Just say, "No thanks, stress, I'm on a caffeine break." And when anger shows up, don't let it bully you into a corner. Stand tall and tell it, "Sorry, anger, I'm too busy doing jumping jacks." We've also learned that dealing with toxic emotions isn't about suppression. It's about expression. It's about letting them out in a healthy and productive way, like through exercise, art, or talking it out with a friend. And most importantly, we've learned that we are in control. We're the ones holding the reins. Remember, you're the boss of your emotions, not the other way around. So the next time you feel like that hamster, just remember to jump off the wheel.